Thrones of Britannia is the first entry in the Total War Saga series, a game set during England's turbulent 9th century, where you'll find different kingdoms vying for control of the island. The first playable culture is Anglo-Saxon England, a collective of Germanic tribes who invaded Roman Britain in the 5th century and made themselves a home at the edge of the world. And now, 400 years later, the island has a new name, Anglo-Land. But now the invaders find themselves being invaded. The Norse are no longer content just to raid English shores. They intend to repeat what the Saxons did before them, and claimed Britain as their own. There are two Anglo-Saxon kingdoms on offer, Wessex and Mercia, called the West Seaxe and Mierce at the time. They'll have nearly identical army rosters, divided into early, middle, and late game. Your lowest tier of infantry is the Carl, which is Old English for man, so think of them as the untrained masses, and never depend on them. They'll be led by thanes, local leaders sworn to serve their king. These retainers also come in a mounted variety, but don't expect them to work miracles. Shot cavalry won't appear until the end of the Viking Age. The first upgrade is to feared infantry, which historically formed the backbone of Anglo-Saxon armies. In times of need, they were called up to serve locally, sort of like the modern National Guard. The Anglo-Saxon army will be all about levying these troops to fill your ranks, but they're not professional soldiers, they're the reserve, and it's only in the late period that we see the real change. After repeated Danish invasions, the Anglo-Saxons adopted some of their tactics. The Huscarls are an elite guard of heavily armored two-handed axemen, bodyguards sworn to lay a corpse ring around their lord, and represent the hardest-hitting infantry you'll be able to muster. But both Wessex and Mercia will have their own unique units, with Wessex being able to upgrade their feared units to the select feared. The Anglo-Saxon leader, Alfred of Wessex, took this idea of the levy en masse and revamped the feared system, and set specific numbers of men that should be supplied from each town, as well as demanding better arms and armor, while Mercia be able to access march or militia, a nice play on words as Mercia's name is based on the Roman word for frontier, march. To model the feared system in-game, the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms can recruit additional levy units for each settlement they own, but if you recruit too heavily, you'll find that the population will push back and public order will go down. The dominant force in southern England at the time were the West Seaxe, who in the time leading up to the Thrones of Britannia have conquered nearly every surrounding Saxon kingdom, Surrey, Kent, Essex, and even parts of Mercia. The West Seaxe are led from their capital of Winchester by King Alfred, and are the Isle's primary resistance against the great heathen army of marauding Norse. Alfred's goal is nothing less than the unification of all of England under one banner, his. But in Thrones of Britannia, his campaign will be one of survival. Following a period of brutal warfare against the Vikings, he's rebuilt his army and retrenched them in cities across southern England. But only time will tell if he can really realize his dream of healing a fractured Britain. He'll do it with the help of the West Saxe's unique faction trait, the Wittengamot, meaning the Wise Council, an assembly of the most powerful Saxon leaders who meet to advise the king on matters of state. Its recommendations are presented as player choice events and carry both positive and negative campaign effects, including affecting the ability to levy feared units. They act as a sort of proto-parliament, and this unity of commoner and lord is what defines the Anglo-Saxons. But any rise in the fortunes of Wessex comes as the downfall of Mercia. From its capital of Tamworth, Mercia once ruled over all of Middle England, but years of Viking raids have taken their toll. As the last king of independent Mercia, King Ceolwulf has inherited a kingdom on its back foot. His predecessor was chased from their home and forced to take sanctuary in distant Rome. While Mercia's armies may be reduced, it's always relied on gold rather than iron to rule Britain. Whenever a Viking Age hoard of gold is dug up in England today, there's always a coin in there from Mercia. And this is where they get the unique faction trait from, hoards, which allow the Mercian rulers a new way to spend gold in their royal treasury. You can choose to give it to the army to reduce upkeep and boost replenishment, give it to your nobles to guarantee loyalty and increase income, or maybe you feel like throwing a few coins to the common rabble to increase public order. You can always keep it for yourself, but nobody likes a stingy ruler, and there will be penalties. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms are both based around the idea of keeping your populations happy, and then leveraging them to do the heavy lifting in war. The choice system and levying are both mechanics Creative Assembly developed while making the Warhammer series, and it's exciting to see them applied to the historical titles, and leaves me wondering what mechanics the other factions will see. It also begs the questions, who else do you think we'll see in Thrones of Britannia, and who do you want to sit on the throne? As always, thanks for watching, and look for more information soon about the Total War series of games, and Thrones of Britannia in particular.